fight fans, episode 76 of the Hooks In MMA podcast. We've got a great week ahead, not just with interviews, but also with easy line picks coming up for the fight night Saturday night. So first off, we're going to introduce our guest. His name is Mike the Lone Wolf Trizano. He's featherweight here fighting a Canadian, Hakeem Dawodu. This one's on the prelims Saturday night. Definitely circle it. It's going to be a stand-up war. These guys are both great athletes. Both kind of still prospects, pretty early in their MMA career, but I think that they're both headed for top 10 potential, and definitely tune into that one. But first, before getting into our winners for Saturday night, we're going to be looking back at both UFC 270 and the most recent Bellator card last weekend with Ryan Bader unifying his heavyweight championship, and also Benson Henderson getting a big underdog win and potentially his last performance here in the MMA world. And then, of course, looking ahead, getting ahead of that book, we've got UFC Fight Night 200, Hermansson versus Strickland, Saturday in the Apex Center. Z-Ball's been studying all week, and Zoni's got some great value plays to share with y'all. So Zoni, why don't you kick things off, talk a bit about your highlights from UFC 270 and Bellator this past Saturday.
Yeah, so highlights for me, Jasmine Jasdavicius from Niagara, top team Canadian, got her first debut win after securing her ticket to the UFC in the Contender Series last year. She opened up the card, a little bit on the stand-up, a little bit sloppy, and I mean, I'm a critic. I'm laying on my bed right now, but just in terms of her potential, keep working on the stand-up, but she totally controlled the fight, won it, convincingly against someone that is known for her ground game. She was able to control that, so that was a fantastic first win. That Matt Frivola, Ganardo Valdez fight was unbelievable. My fight of the night, I think Valdez was knocked down 5 times before it was finished. That was one of the craziest fights of the year, if not the craziest. And even if you look back at last year, I mean, one of the best first rounds you could ever ask for. Couple other ones, Victor Henry, his opening debut fight in the UFC against Ione Barcelos. He looked fantastic. He looks like he could battle anyone in the top 15 with his gas tank. My young prospect boy, Michael Morales, with a great finish against Trevin Giles. He started slow. He got clipped, but he still got his undefeated record at 13-0. He is a great prospect, especially at his age. And he, personally, he's my second favorite prospect. My first is this weekend, Shavkat Rakhmonov. We'll talk a little bit about him later. Performance of the night, I agree with Chael Sonnen. Definitely Saeed Nurmagomedov against our boy Cody Stamann. Unfortunately for him, that was unbelievable. Spinning kick to the gut. Was about to get taken down and sunk in a nice guillotine choke to finish. That was an unbelievable performance. And then obviously we got our 2 championship fights that we'll break down. Z-Balls will talk about that in a sec. Bader, I mean, he was a big underdog, fantastic way to come back from losing in the light heavyweight tournament to Corey Anderson, to still retain or get back unifying his heavyweight belt. And, Benson Henderson, huge win. That was a close decision. And it was his last fight on the Bellator contract, but he had said previously that Scott Coker told him, if you beat Mamedov, you'll be next in line, which for me doesn't make sense because, Brent Primus should be next. But promises, are they going to follow through? Not sure. He also whispered to Khabib after the fight, I heard Eagle FC, keep me in mind. So maybe he's looking at a bigger payday somewhere else. That's it for me. Go ahead, Z, with some of your breakdowns.
Yeah, for sure. Focusing on the 2 main event fights there, obviously, we were blessed with 2 amazing main event fights there. Both of them were extremely close, hard to call, and were great back and forth fights. We saw quite a few things that we weren't expecting to see. Wrestling Nagano, I mean, who would have thought that Certainly not the odds makers before the fight, and that's what we'll get into that a little bit more. But yeah, they were great fights. A little bit of controversy though with the judging, as there always is, seems to be a little bit with MMA judging. It has gone, in my personal opinion, and write your comments below. Let people, let us know kind of what your thoughts are, our subscribers. You know, who you thought won, and what your thoughts are on kind of the judging and the state of it right now, because I do feel like it has gotten better over the last few years. I'm not seeing as atrocious calls as we used to. I personally feel, but there's a lot of room to be improved here, and there's a few things I want to break down specifically in regards to both of these fights, actually. Really specifically with the co-main event, though, as a little bit more. But before we get into that, I want to take a few quotes from the unified MMA rules that we have right now, because clearly, as we've seen, the judges themselves don't really read these rules quite consistently enough, right? As I said, training needs to get better for them. It has gotten better, their performance over the last few years. There's a lot of room for improvement, but here's what it currently states. Effective striking and grappling shall be considered the first priority of round assessments. Effective aggressiveness is a plan B and should not be considered unless the judge does not see any advantage in effective striking and grappling realm. Cage and ring control plan C should only be needed when all other criteria are 100% even for both competitors. This will be an extremely rare occurrence. So already the rules are stating this will be an extremely rare occurrence, that we won't have to go to plan B or C most likely. So they're already kind of nudging the judges this way. But how do we define effective striking and grappling? That's the question here. If that's plan A, how do we do that? Quote from the rules: legal blows that have an immediate or cumulative, I'm going to have a tough time with that word, everyone, cumulative impact with the potential to contribute towards the end of the match with immediate weighing in more heavily than the cumulative impact. Successful execution of takedowns, submission attempts, reversals, and the achievement of advantageous positions that produce immediate or cumulative impact with the potential to contribute to the end of the match, with the immediate weighing more heavily than the cumulative impact. So here we can clearly see, it clearly states that the immediate impact is much more, is weighed much more than cumulative impact. Okay, that's the last time I have to try and say that, all right, everyone? So I promise you the last time I tried. But that's what we're trying to say here, right? Is that immediate impact. How much more does it weigh? That's to be up for discussion, I think. That's part of the problem here. These rules need to be more well defined. But if we want to look at the round specifically, fourth round of Moreno and Figueiredo fight, Moreno had 17 light strikes, 5 medium strikes, total of 22 strikes. I am getting these numbers from one of our fellow YouTubers, the Weasel. Great guy as well. Go take a look at his breakdown. Shout out to him. That's where I'm getting these particular numbers from, where he particularly broke down these numbers. Figueiredo, he had 10 light strikes, 4 medium, total 17 strikes. So clearly he had less strikes. Not only did he have less strikes, but Moreno's strikes were also more effective, much more immediate impact. Clearly, go back, watch that fourth round. There's no way anyone's giving that to Figueiredo, even though 2 out of 3 judges did it somehow. We don't know how, but they did. So that round goes to Moreno in real time, in hindsight. Fifth round, much more interesting numbers now. Not as clear. Moreno, light, he has light amount of strikes, 14, 5 medium, to make a total of 19. Figueiredo has 3 light strikes, 5 medium, but 3 heavy shots, including 1 knockdown. So here's where we get into that definition. If you want to take the rules by their pure way they're stated right now, you would say Figgy won that round. But if you go back and watch it in real time, you can't really say that very easily, right? It was a very, very, very close round. You can't clearly give it to anyone. That's why they have these rules. That's why they're stated the way that they do. Do these judges follow it though? No, they do not. They don't even follow their own rules. And that's why we have to go back and look at it punch by punch, to try to get it right. It's not an easy job. It's very, very difficult. We're not trying to criticize them, but I think there needs to be some rules here, some rule changes going forward. I'm excited that we're having such great fights, but we need to take a look at some of these things. The NFL, all these other leagues, they always change their rules to better improve their product. We should be open to it too. So by their current definition, in my personal opinion, Figueiredo wins the 5th round. Could it be argued the other way? Absolutely. And the rules could potentially be also changed as well, in my opinion, to better maybe, let's say, take into account the cumulative strikes that Moreno was landing, because he was controlling. Did he get a knockdown? No, he didn't. But he was landing a lot of things. He was landing a ton of things, right? So that's the whole name of the game. You hit the guy more than he hits you. That's the name of the game. But there's some nuances to that, right? We have to take into account. Did you break the guy's nose or not? What did he do to you? What type of hits are them? That's when it starts getting a little bit more up for debate, as they say, right? So very, very interesting. Same thing in the 5th round. Sorry, someone could jump in there. Someone go ahead.
I was just going to say quickly, I know we talked about this back and forth and we have our own opinions. That's fine. But my questions with regards to the numbers you gave, which those are real numbers, the Weasel broke them down himself. So my, I guess, like, not even rebuttal, just like question for you would be, what value of each of a light, a medium, and a hard strike? So is a light worth 1? Is a medium worth 3? Is a hard worth 5? To make a total summative total for each of them, like that's where I would question it. So
excellent question. Yeah, no, I agree with you. And that's where I'm going in with the rule changes. Like, we should maybe make a rule change where, okay, a knockdown is worth 10 light strikes. I'm making up, and I'm pulling a number out of my ass right now, right? But that's what I'm saying, right? Let's start defining that a little bit more, because if we're not defining it and we're leaving it up to the judges, we're gonna, like, how do you give that 4th round to Figueiredo? There's no way. Like, 2 out of the 3 of them did. Like, doesn't make sense. But then they screw up the 5th round as well. So, like, it doesn't make sense.
So, like, sorry, just to say, so if let's say a light's worth 1, a medium's worth 5, and a big's worth 10. If they know this, then they can write this down. They can add up the totals, and then before the end of the round, at the end of the round, they can go, it's 33 to 23. Well, 33, or was it Figueiredo? Okay, then he won that round. Like,
but then when you start throwing in grappling into the mix, when you start throwing in those things, that's when it starts to get tricky, right? And I agree with you. Yeah, no, but it's hard to define who comes up with those numbers, right?
A light strike, that's subjective. You might think that was 5 lights, but I was like, nope, that was 3 lights and 2 mediums. Like, it's all up for interpretation, and it's, no perfect outcome at all.
That's why too many specifics is also bad, right, Kronz? Like, you don't want to limit yourself. You don't want to put too much into a box, but you also, you want some guidelines, which they currently have. They're not working, or like they're not totally effective yet. But
just some interesting numbers though from the fight, and this is from UFCstats.com, so I think pretty reputable and pretty unbiased.
Accurate.
So Brandon Moreno outstruck Figueiredo by 19 significant strikes over the course of 5 rounds, of course. But Brandon Moreno also threw 90 more strikes. So in all accuracy, Figueiredo was 10% more accurate with significant strikes. And then one other interesting thing, and I'm not saying one or the other, I just calling these things out. Moreno was 1 for 2 takedown attempts, so 50%, pretty solid. Figueiredo was 2 for 11 18%, which to me, you got to give some points to Moreno for defending takedowns and stuffing them essentially.
Yeah.
But then again, how's that scored?
Yeah, and to add to what you're saying, I totally agree with that, and it actually works for both of the scenarios you gave there, Kron. So Moreno maybe threw 90 more strikes and not as accurate, but he was more aggressive and threw those. Whereas Figueiredo attempted more takedowns, so he was putting in that extra effort and energy to do it. He didn't land at a percentage that the 1 for 2 was, but he actually was trying to get him down more. So then, yes, Moreno didn't land as much, but he was the aggressor, maybe controlling the octagon. But then maybe Figueiredo was attempting more and trying to be the aggressor and taking him down, even though he didn't. So it's like it is very, subjective and up in the air.
It goes, yeah, it's both ways. So maybe just the solution is, I think one other zone might know the organization that does it, but at the end of 5 rounds, let's say there's an overtime. If it isn't clear, like let's say
CFFC. Because our boy Aaron Jeffrey the other day won 4 rounds. He won all 4 of them easily, and there was no 5th. So if it was 2-2, they would have went to a 5th. So
right now, if it's going to be 50-45 and it's just a wash, then yeah, of course you don't keep going. But how cool would that be for fans? And then you basically say for the overtime, throw out all the rules. All it is whoever lands more strikes wins in 2 minutes. And then it's just guys are going crazy output.
Yeah.
It's actually, think power is better than volume, then just knock him out with 1, and then the other guy can't throw anymore. He's done.
The other thing too is the Ultimate Fighter too, right? They have 2 rounds, and if it's split, then they go to a 3rd. Like actually on the show, if the guy wins 2 rounds and didn't finish them, but that's it. There's no 3rd, so they do it there as well. Like
I don't know. I just think fans would like it. Like I think the competitors would like it. I think UFC, I think everyone wins in that scenario. Now the problem I think is the commission. Would they regulate that, like approve it? Yeah. It's pretty regulated, and there's a lot of safety liabilities and stuff, right? So without knowing that side of it, that's probably the reason why it's not more prevalent than it is. But anyways.
I just thought of a crazy thing. Imagine if they made every fight on every main card or every main card of every pay-per-view 4 rounds, and if it was tied at the end of the 4th round, it was a 5th round, and that was for every fight in the main card of a pay-per-view.
Well,
that would be dirty. But like you said, Kron's like you got to get the sanctions, you got to get all this shit for this.
Yeah, it would definitely affect our. It would affect our betting too for the overs. We'd have to factor in the over.
Yeah, and also people, if they were like, and we're going to a 5th round, people would jump on the live action like crazy. You're like, just wait.
But what if you're up 3 rounds too? Then you kind of don't care because it's not going OT. But then the other guy can knock you out because he knows.
You just run around. Yeah.
Yo, actually, I'm liking this idea more and more. It just throws so many weird shit into it now. Oh man,
UFC's listened to us in the past with video replay.
Well, they've copied everything.
Yeah,
copied everything. Our Hooks in MMA podcast was copied by UFC employees. Like, there's a bunch of copycats out there.
Even though we average on 10 views per video, 9 of those views are coming from Dana and his executive.
Yeah. Yeah,
we got Sean Strickland after White right now.
Strickland listens.
Oh yeah. Z's, did you want to touch on Ngannou before we head into Easies?
I didn't have the only thing I wanted to say, if I'm going to stick to my same guns, what I'm talking about there with the Figgy and Moreno fight, then I would have to say that the 5th round in the Ngannou and Gon fight was also scored incorrectly because they all gave it to Ngannou. But again, we're looking at aggression here. People would say, if you go back and watch that, people were saying or still say that it was a mistake for Gon to go for that heel hook. Right? Ngannou got on top, but the thing is, Ngannou did nothing on top. There was no aggression, no effective anything other than basically sitting there. When Gon going for submissions attempts is effective grappling, in my opinion. and again, that's like having a knockdown almost in my, like, see, that's when we start getting into the subjective thing, right? So when you're going for, that's why it's tough. But anyway, so that's why, in my opinion, actually gone slighted out the way the rules are currently stated. He slighted out Ngannou in that last round. Again, very close. I can see why someone would disagree with me. Again, comment below. Tell me I'm an idiot and why. I would love to hear, and then I'll comment back. We have a discussion. Love it, because that's what we want here. And yeah, like that's kind of why I'm sticking to my guns in terms of those two things, is because it's if you want to go with the rules the way they're stated right now, that's the way that I saw it, at least. So it's based on immediate impact. Again, the key word is immediate impact. That's it, the way that's stated right now. Once they kind of change it away, then we can talk. But
if you want some immediate backlash, just make sure to comment on any of Mark Hunt's posts, because you'll definitely get a lot of Samoans and New Zealand couch potatoes chirping you back. And I hope that loser that was commenting on our Hooks In podcast is listening to this. Hit me up. You still haven't answered my DM there, bro. I chirped you pretty good there, I thought. But yeah, it's all good. And the other thing I wanted to throw out there too is in terms of that fight and that division, for me, it's Miocic against Jones for obviously not, because it'll be vacated, right? That's my fight. And then whoever wins, it's either Jones and Ngannou, which we wanted originally, or you get Miocic and Ngannou 3. And Curtis Blades called out Sorogan. That's a fantastic fight to make. See if he can stuff some takedowns against an aggressor. So those are the couple of fights I want to see with the heavyweight division based on what happened a couple weeks ago.
Really good. How much time we got there, Kronz? Approximately.
Probably about 12-15 minutes. So
okay, we're not too bad.
Enough time. I just wanted really quickly, because we are talking about judging and like controversies kind of thing. Just like that Bellator fight, the Bader Moldavsky, because I mean, could have went either way, and that 5th round was so crazy. Like, basically, if you didn't see it, Moldavsky was kind of dominating, like in terms of grappling, but he wasn't doing any damage. And then there was one point near the end of the round where he just kind of pinned Bader up on the fence, and Bader just started feeding him these like little rabbit elbows. But like, they added up and they had to have done damage. And I think that's what won him the fight.
I agree.
I'm looking at the cards now, and yeah, unanimous won that 5th round. It was actually a really crazy fight, because Bader came out swinging, caught him in the first round. Almost finished. And then he just faded rounds 2 and 3, lost both handily. And then he comes back and wins 4 and 5. I don't know. To me, it was very interesting, that fight.
Ryan Fader.
Yeah.
I got a nickname for Sean Strickland. I'm waiting to break out for Easy Line.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait.
But anyways, that was a good one, though. That was a good one, Zoni.
But he ended up winning, so I guess.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think he proved why he should stay in heavyweight and shouldn't really mess around light heavyweight anymore. So yeah.
And it was supposed to be him against Fedor next for that retirement fight, but they booked him and Chuck Congo, because they fought a few years back, and it ended. He was murdering Congo, and then a little eye poke, and Congo looked like he was a fucking 4'2" little bitch. Like, he was crying and whining, and then they stopped the fight. And so Bader is going to finish that fight next. Then I think they'll book the Fedor fight.
Right. Yeah. No. Stay tuned for that. So without further ado, let's get ahead of that book. We'll be meeting you at the cashier Saturday night, so that you top up your account for Super Bowl the following weekend. Z-Balls, let's get her going.
Ooh, okay. So I love that intro. That was a great one. So
really?
Yeah, quickly recap last event, though. We went 2-2 here, specifically just here on Easy Lines, 50%. Main event, we took the over, but chose Gone. Co-main event, we did take Figgy. close decision on that one, boys, but we snuck it out. And we did take the under. So 50-50 on both those fights. That brings our career record at 150 wins. 153 wins and 98 losses, putting us at a 61% winning rate right now. Upcoming weekend, we have a very interesting middleweight fight between Sean Strickland and Jack Hermansson. Whoever wins this fight, looks like they'll get a shot at entering the top 5 as a top contender going into the second half of this year. Strickland is a good size, moderate favorite sitting at -220, while Hermansson's the underdog at +180. Tail of the tape, quite similar. Both are 6'1". Jack has a 1-inch reach advantage. Sean's 3 years younger at 30 years old. Jack's 33, both pretty much the prime of their fighting careers. Strickland, 5-fight winning streak, most recently defeating Uriah Hall in a unanimous decision. Hermansson coming off a decision win himself up against Edmund Shabazian. Overall, Strickland is much more of a volume guy. He's always poking and prodding at his opponent. He's extremely active with his hands, very accurate jab, but he's never going to power you away, right? He keeps his shoulders very, very square. He kind of almost pushes a lot of his punches, right? Not super dangerous, but he's always there, and he's always pushing his opponent backwards. Because there's not really much wind up in these square shoulder stance. You don't, not a lot of body movement. You don't really see the punches coming. So that's why it's a nice technique that way. It's not nice to look at though. Again, like I said, it's not really powerful, but he's constantly peppering you. Similar to the Diaz brothers a little bit. He's always pushing them back, discouraging his opponent. The nickname that I was talking about, Zone, is I like to call him Sean Trickland, actually, because he just kind of trickles. He slowly trickles across the fight, right? Where he's just slowly working away. He rarely attacks the body or legs, though. I think something like 90% of his strikes are at the head. So he's very focused on head strikes. He did use leg kicks against Jotko and in that fight, and it worked quite well for him, of course. If he wants a good chance of beating Hermansson, I suggest, using a lot of varied attacks. Although you certainly don't want to get, a kick caught by Jack Hermansson by any means, because if he starts grappling sequences with you, it's going to be scary. Any kind of grapple or ground game with the Joker here is extremely dangerous for Sean Strickland. Jack clearly has the advantage here over Strickland. Jack will very quickly slip a choke in on anyone. Absolute world-class jiu-jitsu and ground game. Excellent ground and pound. It's scary once he gets on top of people. He starts raining down those punches, and yeah, it's scary. His striking is more powerful than Strickland, I'd say, as well. Certainly not as active though, right? Not as accurate, but more powerful. He also has a very kind of awkward movement to him with his striking. It's almost jittery. He does very big things, but that's kind of the thing, is that when something's coming because he's doing one of those movements, but you don't know when it's coming, but it's always happening. So yeah, Strickland, at the end of the day, Strickland has the advantage on the feet. Joker clearly has the advantage grappling. Classic matchup here, but here's where I think it kind of takes the difference. Number one, Strickland has amazing takedown defense. He has 82% takedown defense in the UFC. He defended 5 or 6 of 8 takedowns against Kamaru Usman. So obviously, Usman is 170, bit different than the Joker, who's a 185er. He's a bigger guy, but Usman, he's clearly, shown that he's amazing in terms of his technique and things like that. So if he's able to stuff takedowns from Usman, I think he's going to be able to stuff down most of the Jokers at least right away. Court McGee tried to take him down 11 times. Strickland, he tried to take down Strickland down 11 times, couldn't do it. If he's well paced and walking into the range, he's going to start to have success against Hermansson. But, Hermansson, he has wildness to him, right? If his wildness starts to break through, it's going to be weird for Strickland as well. So, but, Uriah Hall fight most recently for Strickland was, went to 5 rounds. He passed that with flying colors. I personally think this fight's going to go over. Hermansson, he has 36% takedown success. That's another thing here. That's another thing to take. 36% takedown success. Not that good. That being said, I think Khabib's takedown success is 33% or something like that. It's not that great either. So you don't need to have great takedown success necessarily for it to be effective and for people to be looking out for it. Also, what I will say about the Joker is that he doesn't need to take you down in order for him to be effective. Once he can do the standing grappling, he can still sink chokes people on people while they're standing, but I don't think it's going to happen against Strickland. He's had 27 professional fights. He's never been submitted in any single one of them. I don't think it's going to happen here. So I'm taking Strickland to win this one. And well, mainly the over here as well. To quickly take a look at the lines here, the over 1.5 is minus 334. So don't take that. But I like the 2.5 minus 188. I like that minus 188. Take that to parlay a few things. Strickland minus 220 myself. Not great value there on Strickland though, right? Not great value. But like I said, if you agree with me, take him in some parlays. But if you're on the Joker side, that value is there. So I totally understand. Hey, Hermansson at finish plus 400, that looks pretty juicy. But for me, I just don't see. I don't see it happening here. I see Strickland, even when he's in people's guards, he's very defensively responsible. Even when he's in people's guard, he doesn't do because he doesn't overcommit himself. That's why he just does these jabs. He's the same way he strikes, same way he grapples. He never overcommits himself too badly. He knows what people are trying to do. So I'm taking him. But Zoni, Crosby, you guys jump in there. So let me know what you think about this.
The only thing I'm going to say is just in terms of moving forward here, the winner of this fight, in my opinion, gets Vettori. The winner of Whitaker and Adesanya. If Whitaker wins, obviously there's going to be a third. If Adesanya wins, I think the winner of Brunson and Cannonier gets that next shot. So that's all I'm going to say. No betting lines, just prediction of what's going to happen.
Yep. Agree with that, Zone. Kind of shying away from this one. This one's hard for me to pick. So maybe we'll head over into either the prelims or value plays. We got just over 2 minutes, so we'll do a little rapid fire and get through some winners here.
Yeah, rapid fire for me. First fight in the card, Dennis Bondar, UFC debut, minus 250, parlayed with something else. I think he gets it done fairly easily. The other one I had was sorry.
I can go quick if you're looking it up.
Quick.
So I did mention him at the top of the call. We've got Mike Trizano coming on. He's facing Hakeem Dawodu. I'm liking the over in that. Might even will go to the distance. Doesn't pay all that great, but maybe that's something to parlay with Zoni's lock of the night. Bondar. I think those guys just got both great chins, and I think they'll go to the distance. I don't see it being stopped. So that's my pick of the week.
Yeah, that's a great one. I agree. Jailton Almeida is minus 163 for a finish. This guy's an absolute animal. Fighting a fellow Brazilian, Danilo Marques. I think he gets it done at that minus 163. I think I said fantastic. Up and comer here. A couple bangers. I mean, a value play. Steven Peterson against Julian Erosa. He's plus 240. It's going to be a banger of a fight. There's a chance he could get that done against Erosa here. Erosa has had some fantastic wins, but then he kind of misses out on that momentum building, and he slips up here once in a while. And I think it's a bad matchup for him based on the value of that fight. The plus money I like there. That's all I got, boys.
Okay. Well, that's it for episode 76. Good luck this weekend. We'll see you at the Cashier, like I said. And then we got a big pay-per-view next weekend. So be sure to tune in for episode 77. Let's get it.
Next up on the Hooks In MMA podcast, we're lucky to have on 9-1 featherweight. He's got a big fight coming up here on February 5th. Also the Ultimate Fighter winner, Mike, a Lone Wolf Trizano. How's it going today, man?
It's going great, man. How are you?
Good, thanks. Yes, we're just talking a little bit of football last night. Aaron Rodgers, you never know, maybe played his last game in Green Bay, not sure. How did you feel about that game? And, who do you like today in the couple of matchups to move to basically the Final Four?
Yeah, both games were great. I was actually impressed to see how well Burrow did yesterday. It was a tough game. He got sacked 9 times and managed to pull out the win, which is impressive. And then, man, Rodgers just can't get past the Niners in the playoffs. They're his kryptonite. Everybody's got their team that they just struggle with, and it just happens to be them. And I was pulling for Rodgers to get another Super Bowl, but it's going to have to wait, I guess. So we'll see what happens with him in his future. I'd hate to see him stop playing because he's phenomenal right now. I don't see him slowing down. So
yeah, and I'm a Bucks fan. I've been a Bucks fan for close to 25 years. So obviously, defending champs, but we needed Brady to come over to help us do that. But I'm leaning towards Rodgers winning the MVP. But who do you like in the two games today?
Well, I think the Bills are going to win. I had originally said that it was going to be Bills-Packers, but that obviously is not happening. But I think the Bills are going to upset the Chiefs. And then I think the Bucks are going to win and beat the Rams. Even though the Rams beat them in the regular season, I think that it's just Brady's just a different animal in the playoffs. And but we'll see, because the Bucks are banged up. They have a lot of missing parts. So the backups are going to have to step up. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be a great day of games today.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. So just back to mixed martial arts. What age did you start that at? What got you into it? Sounds like you're a sports fan. Did you play some other sports as well?
Yeah, I played a ton of sports growing up, baseball, football, lacrosse. And then I started training at 17. And been doing it ever since, man. I was hooked as soon as I took my first class.
And then, so from there, obviously, very, very impressive record. I don't believe you lost in an amateur. And then obviously you got your opportunity on the Ultimate Fighter. You won that. How was the experience, in the house? How was the experience overall being crowned champ?
It was an amazing experience, honestly. I went in there like a sponge and just wanted to learn as much as possible and get different perspectives of how everyone else approaches the fight game. And it's a great learning experience for sure. And, it's just one of those stepping stones in my career. And I'm excited to see what unfolds moving forward. I'm excited for this next fight.
Absolutely. And I wanted to ask, usually ask, how did that first loss define you? Because obviously you came back and you made a huge, improvement in your game, but beat someone that, was very touted, and a lot of people were hyping him up, Ludovic Klein. How did you take that first loss, and what was in your head afterwards, and how did you kind of, reshape yourself moving into that next win?
You just got to learn and grow from it. You either let it make you crumble or you get improved from it. And, I feel like I'm mentally strong. So, it's a loss. It's not like it's life. You're going to lose. You got to learn from it and grow and improve. And I unfortunately had to have a couple surgeries. So I had a lot of time off to really just improve my game and just get better overall. And that's what I've been trying to do. And I do that every day. And, it was eye-opening, and it definitely made me way better now than I was a couple years ago. So I'm excited to crack the top 15 soon.
Yeah, and you could with the win here. Just, in comparison from last night, Cyril Gahn started late in his career in terms of professional fighting, and he got his first loss. But that's what he said in his post-fight interview. You just it's not the end of the world. Got to come back and learn and rewatch the tapes and just, refine some of the skills, sharpen the tools. And in the future here, I can almost guarantee at some point he's gonna come back and win the championship. But everyone goes through it. So you got Hakeem Dawodu. Obviously he's been pretty successful in the UFC. What do you think about him in this matchup moving forward here?
I think he's a great opponent. He's got great striking. I got great striking. I think we match up well. And I'm excited to go in there and just let my hands fly and get this W. I'm excited. I was supposed to fight in October, and it's been a long time coming. So I'm just eager to get back in there.
Yeah. And with this one, you could craft the top 15 for sure, because I know you guys you're both just outside. So that would be exciting to get that W here. Just to finish up, we have between round segment, 1 minute. I'm gonna ask you a question. You give me your best answer, okay?
Sounds good, man. Let's go.
All right. What's your favorite sport other than MMA?
Baseball.
Favorite baseball team?
Yankees.
Favorite post-fight meal, I guess.
I mean, I usually go with a nice Sunday dinner with the family. Pasta, meatballs, the works.
I'm going to go back a question. Who's your favorite Yankee of all time?
And I was a big Bernie Williams fan. I loved Williams. He was just great, held himself a great character and just great ball player.
I didn't tell you I'm from right around Toronto, and I'm Jays fan, so you probably think different of me now. But one of my favorite Yankees of all time, even though I'm not a Yankees fan, is Bernie Williams. So I couldn't agree more with you there. Yeah. Very respectable gentleman. Do you have 100%. a favorite kind of music?
I listen to a lot of stuff. Very big into country, and I'm very big into like 80s hair metal. Okay. Love that stuff, man. That's like all I listen to. But then like depending on what I'm doing, like if I'm working out or getting ready to fight and stuff, I listen to like heavy metal.
Okay. I'm a country fan too. Who's your favorite right now?
Yeah, it's such a hard statement. Like, oh, who's your favorite? There's so many.
Just somebody you listen to most, I guess.
All right, listen to most. Recently, probably Luke Combs.
Yeah.
He's one of the few guys that are like modern country that's not too pop. I don't like any of that pop crap.
Couldn't agree.
I like the old school country stuff. Like I listen to some of the old stuff too all the time. So.
And favorite couple of mixed martial artists of all time?
Well, GSP was my number one. He's the reason why I wanted to get into MMA. I just loved his overall game and how he approached it. And I'm not a shit talker, so neither was he. And I just wanted to carry myself the way he did.
Let the skills do the talking, right?
100%.
And any sponsor shout outs or social media to finish up here? Yeah,
man. Eat Clean Bro been helping me out, providing me food for this fight camp. My team, Tiger Shulman's, he's getting me ready for my fights. A bunch of killers in that gym. And just my family, my wife, all my friends, everybody supporting me. This is our time.
And we got a week off next weekend, so back in 2 weeks, and that's the card you'll be on. Hakeem Dawadu against Mike Trizano. Good luck, sir. And this is Hooks In MMA. Thanks so much.
Appreciate it, man.